I can't believe this is real still. Oh my god, I can't believe this is real still. This is crazy. Okay, hi guys, it's Aiden. Welcome back to the channel. I cannot believe this is real. I just filmed the other video, deep diving this album, showing my reaction to everything, and I still cannot fathom that we are in the new Taylor Swift era and we're getting a new Taylor Swift album. I can't. So with this new album and this new era, obviously I have so much that I want to say, and I know you guys also have so much you want to say, so many thoughts, so many opinions, so many feelings going on. So I took to my Instagram story a couple days ago to have you guys submit everything. Again, your thoughts, feelings, opinions, predictions, anything you have to say about this album. We're going to talk about it in this video, and I'm so excited. Also, I don't own any orange or turquoise clothing. This is the closest thing I have. There's like some brown, this is not orange, it's brown, and some green. So this is what we have to work with, okay? Also got my friendship bracelets on, tried my best. Okay, sorry, I'm like so giddy about this. Like, I just can't believe this is real. I can't believe it. I'm so excited for this video because you guys literally submitted so many things. It's still going. Okay, Jesus. Because there are so many submissions, and we could honestly talk about this for hours, I am going to be doing a part 2 of this video that will be over on the Patreon. I really like doing these for these videos where you guys submit stuff just because it's a fun way to get more content from me if you obviously are interested in that. It's obviously another way to support the channel, of course, but I also just like doing that because obviously I know not everybody is able to afford the Patreon, and it's not something also people might be interested in. So if you're not interested in it or it's not accessible to you, I totally get it, and I'm so glad that you're here, which is why I'm really excited for this video. But again, I also think it's a cool way to support the channel. Again, if you're interested, or if you just want to see more discussions about it, then that will obviously be on the Patreon if you're interested in that. And if not, again, totally cool, no pressure at all. Let's just get into it here. Also, sorry, shameless plug, but follow me on Instagram. Now that we got a new Taylor album, I'll definitely be doing a lot more videos like this. So if you ever want to be in a video like this, follow me on Instagram. Okay, now let's get into it. I do not like the album cover. The alternative covers are better by a landslide. I feel two different opinions about this one, and I kind of touched this a little bit. Touched on this. What the hell? I kind of touched on this a little bit in the last video. I also kind of feel the same way. When I first saw the cover, I do like the cover, don't get it twisted, but the other covers were more of a gag to me, and I don't know if it's because of the coloring or the photo themselves. I don't really know what it is, but the more I look at the original cover, I have it on my computer right here, that's why I'm looking over here, but the more I look at the original cover, it's actually becoming probably my favorite. And it wasn't like when I first saw it, I was like, oh, okay, I mean, it's just the most thing I've ever seen in my life, but the other photos I feel like are a little more of a gag to me. But this photo, obviously, also if you listen to the podcast, you know the reasoning for why she chose this photo, which the reason for this photo is that it's supposed to represent Taylor after the Eras tour. Essentially, she's still wearing this bedazzled dress, she still has a full beat on, which also that face card is insane. That's psychotic. Like, I cannot believe this is a real human being walking this planet. But it's supposed to represent her after the Eras tour. She's laying in a bathtub, she's exhausted. However, she has like 3 seconds to breathe because she has 3 more consecutive nights of Eras tour to get through. I don't know, I really like the cover though. It's really growing on me, but like also even looking at it, like the back cover is just such a serve to me, which like of course it is a serve. I don't know, I guess because obviously we know what the concept of the album is going to be, where it represents or where it's coming from in her life. This cover does make the most sense to me. Whereas the other covers, like maybe I like the photos better, or I think maybe a little more fondly of, but this cover just makes the most sense to me, especially after hearing her talk about it. I don't know, that's just me though. I think that she will bring back the Eras tour next. I don't think so, and I only say this because in the podcast with Taylor, Travis, and Jason, she talked a lot about how she loved the Eras tour so much and how it meant so much to her. However, it was really exhausting for her, and just hearing her talk about it, it kind of broke my heart a little bit, because she talked about in the video pretty much how, I mean, it shouldn't really go as a surprise that the Eras tour is insane, and we all know this. Like, putting on a 3.5-hour show for 2 years straight in so many different cities, back-to-back nights, I don't know, like that's, sorry, my leg's going up, deal with it. Like, that's way too much for one person. And it's not just the 3.5 hours that she's performing, it's also the training for it, it's the prepping, it's the rehearsals. This took up her entire life. Like, she didn't have time for any, well, I guess I shouldn't say that, because she made literally 2 albums. We had the Torture Poets and apparently this album that she was making on the tour. So clearly she has time for other things too. But like, the tour was so exhausting for her, and just hearing her talk about it, again, it kind of just made me a little sad, because I was like, wow, that was a lot for her.
I do miss it, but it's like, it was perfect for what it was. It was a lot of physical therapy, and it was a lot of like being in a state of perpetual physical discomfort or like stomach flu or like just like aching feet or blisters.
Which she had all of this going through.
Usually
and it's
all
like,
at the same time.
Without even hearing her say that, I would have already known that it was a lot for her. Also, something in the podcast that she said that really stuck out to me was if she knew how long the Eras tour was going to go on for and how many shows she was going to do, she probably wouldn't have been able to do it. Because I mean, I remember when the tour dates got announced, and compared to what she ended up doing, like there were only, I want to say like 40 or 50 shows in the original set for the US leg at least, which is still like 40, 50 shows, like that's a lot of shows. But obviously the demand got so insane, it became this larger than life thing that obviously she ended up, you know, adding a bunch more shows. I think she ended up doing over 150. That's psychotic. Like that's insane. Most artists won't even attempt to do that many shows, let alone the fact that her show is 3.5 hours. Anyway, obviously I would love another Eras tour, but again, like she needs a break. And obviously she loves creating music, so I'm not saying she needs a break from making music, because obviously she's putting out so much music because she loves doing it so much. But in terms of touring, like that's a whole other thing. I really don't think we're gonna get any performance or any tour from her for a really long time, and I'm okay with that. I love the way she announced it. Random but refreshingly unique. So excited. I also really liked it. I've seen a couple people be upset that she announced it on Travis's podcast and they thought that that was like a dumb and weird decision. I actually think this was one of the smartest things that she could have done for this album, especially coming off the Eras tour. Like she is the most famous person on the planet. Like I feel like this is a fair statement to make, even if you don't like her. And because of the Eras tour, and honestly even like Midnights and Torture Poets and stuff, it's made her seem incredibly distant from people, and it's made people look at her as more of a figure and not an actual human being with emotions. And the fact that we got a 2-hour-long podcast of her just talking about, obviously, you know, she talked about the new album and the Eras tour and, you know, the re-records and everything, but she also just talked about her life and ad nauseum about sourdough and how obsessed she is with making bread and her family and her cats. Like we haven't had this type of thing from Taylor in such a long time, and I really do think this was so smart because it really has humanized her to a lot of people. Obviously, like when you're a fan of somebody, you know that they're a person, and as fans we spend a lot of time seeing a lot of content from her and seeing, you know, whether it's old clips of her on TikTok or on Instagram, like your algorithm is set to show you Taylor Swift content if that's what you want to see. So we obviously, like the fans, we know she's obviously a real person with real feelings, and we know she's funny, she's kind of cringy, but she's also like, we love her for that. But the general public, like they don't see her that way. They only see her in the headlines all the time for drama that she gets sucked into, or they see her breaking records or on the Eras tour. They don't actually see her as a human being. And again, I think her going on the podcast was a really smart decision, because I've seen so many comments, even just on that video, of people being like, honestly, I don't even really care about Taylor Swift and I never have, but hearing her just be a normal person and seeing her be a normal person with her boyfriend, like I really have gained a new respect for her, because it's like, you know, she really is just a normal person. I agree. I also think announcing it this way was definitely very interesting. And like the timeline that we're in the Taylor Swift cinematic universe, of the fact that we're listening to a sports podcast to find out information about our favorite artist, is definitely very interesting. But again, I think it's honestly really smart and cool, and I think it's only done good things for her, to be honest. For an album that is upbeat and happy, the track titles are very dark and mysterious. I totally agree, and that's why I'm so excited about this. I don't think this album is going to be super happy. I do think it's going to be upbeat, but I don't think it's going to be like sunshine and rainbows, like Lover type situation. She did say this album has some elements of heartbreak, and I don't think that necessarily means like relationship heartbreak. I think a lot of this album obviously is going to be about fame and the life of a showgirl, of course. And so I think the heartbreak element might come from that. It might come from the heartbreak of being a celebrity and being this person that is so famous and that the entire world has something to say about, and how that mentally messes with you. And again, it ties back into what I was saying about Taylor Swift has a level of fame that nobody else can relate to. Literally, like the president is consistently coming after her. That's how famous she is. World leaders were literally begging her to bring the Eras tour to their country because it would have boosted their economy. Like this is not, no other celebrity has this power or this level of fame, and I think that that's obviously a lot for one person, and it's cool to have, but I'm sure it's really exhausting and mentally taxing and kind of overwhelming and exhausting in a way that I don't think anybody could fully realize unless you're actually in that position. Yeah, I do agree that the track titles are very dark and mysterious, and I'm stoked. Like I've never been this excited for a Taylor Swift album, and that's saying a lot because I've been here for a minute. Wood will mean Hollywood, like a shorter version of it. So out of all the track titles, Wood is probably the one I'm most interested about, because like, what? Wood? It's just wood. That's like Okay, yeah, no, for sure. This does make a lot of sense, like Wood being Hollywood, especially if we're talking about fame and like Showgirl and the show business and everything. This does make a lot of sense. So Derek, you might be onto something. I don't know what else it would be though. I'm not saying like it's gonna be a stupid song, because knowing Taylor, like it could be this very elaborate, like, oh, I got a splinter and it meant this, and then I burned the wood and it set me free. That was okay. This is why she's Taylor Swift and I'm not, because like what the f did I just say? Obviously I think it'll be something very interesting, but I honestly, the Hollywood theory is pretty convincing to me, I have to say, because like wood, what do you mean? Like what are we talking about? Oh my god, Woodvale? Imagine she ties that into Woodvale. I would be gagged. I would be gagged. I feel like Eldest Daughter is going to be the most gut-wrenching song on the album. I didn't even realize until like days after the album cover, because I was just so overwhelmed with everything. I forgot that like track 5 exists, and the fact that this album's track 5 is Eldest Daughter. I do find this to be interesting though, because Taylor, I guess she is the eldest daughter, but she's like also the only daughter. So I'm very curious to hear what she has to say about this, but also Eldest Daughter being track 5, but the track before it being Father Figure is a little concerning to my mental health. I'm a little worried, but I think we'll be okay. I'm scared. Like I actually am like terrified for this album. I'm so excited for the album, but I don't feel like I've had time to fully process the Torture Poets department yet. Girl, you and me both. I feel so attached. You guys know Torture Poets is my favorite Taylor Swift album. I genuinely would have to sit you down for weeks on end to fully dive into every single song to explain why that album is my favorite album ever created, because it goes so beyond just the sound and the lyrics and everything. It came out at a time where I needed it so bad. I'm not kidding, it's not funny, I'm not even trying to make a joke or anything, every single song on the Torture Poets department, every single lyric exactly explains a situation that I've been through or that I was going through last year. And it's almost a little disrespectful, because it's kind of like she manifested that for me. Because when Torture Poets came out, I was kind of in the middle of a lot of different things, and then towards the end of last year, it was like the end of everything, and all of Torture Poets pretty much summarize it. Like if you want to know what I went through last year, and even a little bit of this year, just listen to Torture Poets. So I feel such a special connection to that album that I'd never have with any other piece of music in my entire life, which obviously makes me very overprotective of it. And I'm like, wait, I'm still at the department, like I cannot enter a new era. But I also am like, I'm ready. I spent the last year of my life pretty miserable and down bad, crying at the gym, to be fair. And now I'm ready to shake some ass. I know everybody else feels this way, but the reason I love Taylor so much is because every single time she does something, it comes out at the exact time that I need it, even without me knowing that I need it. It's like she knew she needed to put out Torture Poets because Aiden was about to go through some things in his life that he's never been through before. And I needed that album for that comfort. I needed that safety blanket. And now it's like she knows we're finally coming out of that. I'm in a new era and it's time to shake some damn ass. I don't have an ass, but I'll shake it, I'll try. I'm claiming the songs Ruin the Friendship and Actually Romantic. What about you? Oh my god, I haven't even had time to like think about what I think will be my favorite song on the album. The Fate of Ophelia being the opening track really stands out to me, because I honestly really do visualize Torture Poets as kind of the fate of Ophelia. If you don't know the story of Ophelia, Ophelia is basically a character in Hamlet who was basically driven into madness and then drowned in a river. Which again, like that is like Torture Poets to me. Like that's literally the encapsulation of Torture Poets to me, is a girl goes crazy and then drowns and dies. And it also like it really ties into that I Can Do It With a Broken Heart performance for me, where it's literally her getting brought back to life. Like she gets killed after The Smallest Man Who Ever Lived, and then they bring her back to life, and then she performs I Can Do It With a Broken Heart. And that I feel like is literally the encapsulation of what I think this album is going to be. It's the picking up the pieces from Torture Poets where she literally was killed, and this album's like bringing her back to life and she's being the showgirl. So that is really interesting to me. And I also just think The Fate of Ophelia is a really interesting avenue to go for an album. So I think that one is honestly the one I'm claiming. But I also like, I always have to claim the track 5. Like I have to. But also like I have to claim the title track because it's the title track, but also it's featuring Sabrina Carpenter. So I obviously always have to claim that. Canceled though, immediately my brain goes to Tana Mojo and Brooke Schofield. I'm so excited for all of them though. Obviously, you knew that. We all are excited for all of them. The title reminds me of Chaperone a little bit. Also, what is your favorite deluxe CD album cover? Yeah, this era is definitely giving a lot of Chapel to me. Chapel has this very, honestly, kind of showgirl element to her branding. So I definitely am seeing the Chaperone comparisons. I don't think obviously Taylor's copying Chapel, or I don't think it's like a direct copy of everything, but I definitely do see where they kind of parallel a little bit. In terms of my favorite cover, now I do have to go to Taylor's website because I need to really see these. Honestly, I really like the purple one, the one of her, like the Reputation, very, very Reputation photo. But I also like the one of her sitting there in the bejeweled outfit, like biting, like, oh my god, that's the thing I've ever seen in my life. Honestly, I think the purple one's my favorite though. I love that photo. I don't even know why. It's just kind of everything to me, to be honest. Yeah, I think that one's my favorite. I hope she puts out more content like music videos. She barely did anything for Torture Poets. I really am hoping we get multiple videos from this era, because if the photo shoots are any inclination of what this era is going to be visually, I need like 15 videos. I don't care that there's 12 songs. I need 15 videos. Obviously that's not gonna happen, but I do hope we at least get like 2 or 3. I do think we'll obviously get one, probably when the album comes out and everything. I think having music videos are so beneficial for your era because it helps people understand the era and the vision and everything to do with the whole world that you're crafting. I think a big reason why Torture Poets was so divisive and why so many people didn't understand it or get it was because we got one music video, and I actually really like the Fortnite video, so this is not me shading that video, but like that's all we got from it. And not only that, but like she didn't talk about it, she didn't do interviews, and I totally understand why. I mean, she was on the Eras tour, so realistically like she couldn't really be doing probably all that much. But also like can you imagine Taylor going on like Jimmy Fallon for Torture Poets? Like, what do you want her to say about Torture Poets? If Jimmy Fallon asks her, so where did this album come from? Like, I really don't think Taylor was wanting to go on Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel and be like, so this album basically came to be because I was in a relationship for 6 years that I was kind of miserable in the whole time because I couldn't be famous, and he was so miserable with dating a famous person that I had to hide all the time and I couldn't be bejeweled. So then we ended up breaking up as I started the biggest tour of all time, and then I had to go on that, basically being heartbroken the whole time. And then I ended up dating a sewer rat who I've actually been like kind of dreaming of being in a relationship for many years because we kind of been on and off here, but finally got together, and then he ended up making my life a living hell and then made me miserable and ruined my sparkling summer of being on the biggest tour of all time. So then I got heartbroken by him and ghosted by him, so then I had to deal with the heartbreak of that plus the heartbreak of the relationship that I was in before him, which was 6 years. So I'm kind of like miserable and literally wanting to die. You know what I mean? Like, she wasn't gonna go on Jimmy Fallon and talk about Torture Poets. I think Torture Poets was just too sensitive for her. It was too raw. I really think Torture Poets will really go down as an anomaly in Taylor's catalog because that album was never supposed to happen. It was never an album that was supposed to be created because, quite frankly, all of the subject matter that's talked about on Torture Poets was stuff that wasn't supposed to happen. I think Torture Poets and Reputation are honestly kind of sister albums in that aspect, where they were both created from experiences that were so painful for her. And honestly, I do think that Torture Poets in the coming years will get the repraise that Reputation did. Reputation was panned when it came out, but now everybody says it's her best album, and I think y'all will be doing that with Torture Poets. And when that does happen, I want an apology because I've been in the trenches from day one. Okay? We need a pre-release lead single. We need a full proper era. I do agree we need a proper era. However, if I can like totally speak my truth, I hate lead singles. I hate lead singles, not just from Taylor, from any artist. I also, for this album specifically, I don't really want a single because there are only 12 songs. I kind of just want to have all 12 at once. I don't want to have a single and then have only 11 to listen to. That's just me though. But for me personally, again, I hate singles for some reason, and I hate them because unless you do them right, which as we know, I love Taylor, but she has a weird history of picking the most random singles that I like don't understand why. But not even just with Taylor, it's like if you don't do a single correctly, it just really makes everything feel really weird to me. Because in my opinion, 2 things will happen when you put out a single as an artist. Number 1, the single does really well and it becomes this massive, huge #1 moment, which is great, of course. But then when the album comes out, people are disappointed because they're like, I guess we'll use Sabrina Carpenter as an example. Espresso, #1 massive moment, best song of all time, we know this. But then when Short and Sweet came out, people were like, well, like, why are there not a bunch of other Espressos? There's just one Espresso, and then there's a bunch of other songs that don't sound like Espresso, and then people are disappointed. Whereas on the other hand, you put out a single that nobody's interested in, and then that makes people not want to be interested in the album when it comes out. People tend to think that the single is like a complete representation of what the album is, and then when it doesn't, because typically that's not how it works, typically albums have a variation of different genres and different sounds that the album is going for, then people just get mad about it. I don't know. I've also just kind of grown to like the way she's been doing her album since Folklore, which is just giving you everything at once. I am curious to see what the single is going to be. My gut is telling me that it's going to be the title track, The Life of a Showgirl, but that's only because Sabrina Carpenter's featured on it. That's like set up to be a #1 hit. I think Honey is going to be an underrated track. I don't know why. I mean, time will tell. I think Honey is going to be... Actually, should we talk about this? Let me share my predictions on which ones I think are going to be the I Heart Travis Kelce songs. I think Honey is definitely one of them. I think Actually Romantic will be about Travis. I also think Opalite could probably be about Travis as well. I think he has opal eyes. If that's... Or no, what am I saying? saying. That's his birthstone. So I've seen some people say that Ruin the Friendship is also going to be about him, but I don't think it's going to be about him because they were never friends beforehand, never in contact, and then when they were in contact, it was immediately romantic. So I don't think that that song's about him. I think that song could be about another celebrity, potentially. Also, maybe Wood is about him. Wait, ew. I didn't even think about it like that. Never mind. Ew. I don't want to think about that. I don't. Ugh. So Taylor put out special CDs for a limited time. Do you think we might get the chance to buy them again? I 100%. I think so. Taylor always does this. Like, she'll put out special edition stuff where it's like, oh, you have to buy this before it sells out, or you have to buy this in the next 72 hours before they sell out. And most of the time they do sell out, but if you were worried that you didn't get to get collector's edition CD, her and her team will get more stock. They want the sales. They do. They want this to be the biggest it can be, and by doing so, obviously it'll be releasing more stuff like this. So I 100% think more stuff will be coming. I feel like this is going to be one of my favorite albums. I do too. And here's the thing, I always feel like kind of weird saying this because it's Taylor, so I'm gonna end up like waterboarding myself with it anyway, so like I know I'm going to like it, but everything about this, from hearing her talk about like it was so crazy hearing her talk about this album, because one, we just don't like, we don't get this anymore. Like, she doesn't talk about stuff anymore, but her being so openly like, I've wanted to make this album forever. Me and Max Martin and Shellback all came together with our best ideas that we've literally been waiting years and years to come together to do. And she also literally was like,
I also know the pressure I'm putting on this record by saying that, but I don't care because I love it that much.
what do you mean? You can't, Taylor, you can't say stuff like that. You can't say stuff like that and like expect me to be normal about it, because that is like, actually, when she said that, I was like, oh, so you're threatening me. Like, that's actually insane. I'm terrified for this album. She's never said that about an album before, ever. I don't think she's ever, before the album came out, obviously afterwards, I know she's like, I love Folklore, that's my favorite. But leading up to an album, she's never been like, yeah, I know this is like practically my best album. Girl, you can't say stuff like that. You can't be saying that. And I say that she can't be saying stuff like that because I believe her. I know that that's true. I haven't even heard this album yet, and I know it's the best thing I've ever heard in my life. So, oh, I'm really scared. I'm really scared. Okay, so I've already been filming for an hour and my throat is hurting. So I think I'm gonna finish off this video, even though I'm literally about to do another part of this video that, like I said, will be over on the Patreon if anybody's interested. If not, thank you for being here. I love you so much. Follow me on Instagram, check out my second channel, TikTok, all my social media stuff, and I'll see you very soon. Love you, bye.